Oh, hello YouTubers. So let's continue with the Windows Service series here, and let's learn how to deploy the service to your computer manually at this point. So as you know, I'm gonna go ahead and switch this to release mode, so then we have this area right here kicking in, which is the appropriate area for a release software, not the debug software. So first thing, make sure that you change to release software, especially if you have this snippet of code and you have this directives in your program class. So with that in mind, let me go ahead and just refresh everybody's mind that if you if you try to start the Windows service, you're gonna get that that error. So what I did right now was to simply double click on it, and that's the debug one. So that's actually may work. So let me go ahead and then just rebuild this really quick. Rebuild solution, go to the Windows Explorer, go to release, and let's all these files. Double click, and then you have that start failure in there. So that's a problem. Well, we have to solve it. So go ahead and close this. So first thing you need to do is add an installer to your program, and I'm going to do that by double clicking the service1.cs, and then inside here anywhere just right click and then add installer. Those are the default installers. I'm going to go to the properties window. I need to get that open. Under account, I'm going to change it to local service, and under service, just for our testing purposes, instead of service 1, I'm going to call YouTube Windows service test. Okay, so now we have that in there. With that simple action of adding the installer, I am going to save, and I'm going to rebuild the solution. I'm going to do one more thing actually, just to prove a point here. So we know that when our Windows services start, it calls the onStart function, and when it stops, it calls the onStop function. There are other states in there, but that I didn't cover in here, and then you would have to look that up on your own. I'm gonna go ahead and put a onStop in here, onStop file. So when our Windows services starts, it should create this onStart.txt, and when it stops, it should create this onStop.txt. No need for a breakpoint anymore. So since I changed this again, I'm going to rebuild the solution, making sure that I have in release mode. Now let me go ahead and open my solution in Windows Explorer, bin, release, and this is the final service. Okay, again, if I double click on it, it's still not gonna like it even though I add the installer. So the appropriate way to manually install your service is the following. Let me go ahead and I'm going to right click and task on my taskbar here, which you can't see right now, but I'm right clicking and I'm going to bring up the task manager. Okay, and the services, and as you can see, we don't have a YouTube service here. Let me go ahead and open services actually. So closing this, closing that. I might need to know the path. That's all. So I need to know the path for that. Okay, I'm going to need that piece of information in there. And then in here right now, I don't have anything. Okay, I'm running Windows 8, so I'm going to press the Windows key, and I'm going to press in CMD here, and I'm going to open up the developer command prompt. If you're running Windows 7, which most likely you are, at this point, now Windows has been released a month ago. So in order to get to this, you go to Windows, you go to your Start button, the Windows button, and you go to All Programs, Microsoft Visual Studio 2010, and then in there you should have your tools, and I don't remember if it's inside the tools folder or not, but that's where your command prompt is. I'm going to right click my command prompt, and over here at the bottom, you can't see this again, I'm sorry. at the bottom, I'm going to run as administrator. You do the same thing on yours. So right click and run as administrator. Okay. Then the user account control comes up, and then now I have my command prompt in administrator mode. Okay. I'm simply going to navigate to that location by typing in cd my documents, and then cd Visual Studio 10, and then projects, and then Windows Service 1, Windows Service 1 folder, then the bin folder, then the release folder. Now I'm going to do a dir in here, and I can see the Windows Service 1.exe. Now, in order to install it manually, now this is a command: install util. Okay, and then you call in your service, Windows Service 1.exe. Going to press enter. And over here, if everything went okay, you can see that at the bottom it says the commit phase completed successfully, which means that our Windows service is now installed. And just to verify that, again, go to your taskbar, right click, task manager, bring it up, and under services, you can click open. I believe that this is the same for Windows 7. The UI may look a little bit different, but it's the same thing. You go to the service tab, and then open services, which should be right here on the right. Open services. And now we don't need this anymore. Let me just unclutter my screen a little bit. And then at the bottom, if you named it YouTube, if you name it just like me, YouTube Windows Services Test, you should see that it's in there. I'm going to go ahead and right click and start the service. And that's going to start. And I'm going to verify if the service started or not by doing a dir in here. And you can see that we have that unstart.txt file. In the Windows Explorer, it should look something like this inside the release folder, and there's the onStart. Now, inside the Windows Services Test, I'm going to right click and stop the service. It's going to go through this stopping and then stop, and then we can check our folder, and again you can see that you created that onstop.txt file that we put it on the onstop function. So there it is. That's how you install a service automatically. Since we're here, let's go ahead and uninstall it, right? That's pretty useful. I mean, we don't always want to install only. And it's as simple as running the install util again, but right now we're going to use /u, and that should take care of uninstalling the service for us. And just wait a little bit because it's going through the process of removing it, and then it says the uninstall has completed. Again, make sure that you have your developer command prompt in administrator mode to be able to do this. And when we check the services, you can see, well, it's still there because I haven't refreshed it, but I'm going to press F5 on this window. And once I do, that YouTube Windows Service Test is now gone. That's it. That's how you do it manually. Next, I'm going to show you how to create a setup project and deploy your service automatically. Stay tuned. Thank you.